Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Perseverance Gala. You've got quite a night ahead of you. I want to thank you for being here. My name is Ted Regan. I'm the Director of Advancement at the Herreshoff Marine Museum, and I am delighted that you are joining us tonight. I know you had a lot of choices, so thank you for making the Herreshoff Marine Museum a priority. We got a lot going on crammed into 60 minutes, so hopefully you've already made a little drink that will tide you through at least halfway. We've got an awards ceremony. The first time the Becky Award will be announced with two recipients that I'm super excited to reveal later in the show. We have a live auction with 4 items that are pretty amazing, so you'll want to dig deep on that, trust me, because I know. And then you're going to hear from the kids, and you're going to get some sea stories, maybe a little entertainment in between. Woo! We got a hell of a night. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Let me introduce Bill Lynn.
This museum's going to be celebrating its 50th anniversary next year, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. HMM's come a really long way since Sydney, Becky, and Halsey scraped together a few donated boats and set up shop across the street. And I'm looking forward to the year-long party we're going to throw next year. To get to 2021, though, first you have to survive 2020. And this spring, I wasn't as confident about that as I'd hoped to be. This virus is obviously going to be around for a while, but we've navigated this crazy race course pretty well so far, and we're finishing the year strong. How the hell did that happen, you might well ask? The answer is amazing people. People I'm proud to know and call friends of HMM. I'm overwhelmed by gratitude for the passion, dedication, and generosity these folks have demonstrated in the face of real adversity. I'm grateful for our staff here at HMM. A group of people who, when told that we were going to have partial furloughs across the board, said, "What can I do to help us get through this?" No one left, no one threw their hands up, and the results of that are a game-changing digital initiative called the Code Flag Lima Project, a museum that's open to the public and which passed a surprise Rhode Island Department of Health inspection with flying colors, a sailing program that served almost 250 sailors, and a boat shop program that served 30 future problem solvers. We held our first virtual America's Cup Hall of Fame induction and our first virtual holiday season gala. We have an amazing team here at HMM, and they've really risen to the challenge. I'm grateful for our volunteers, several of whom were instrumental in helping us complete critical campus projects in time for the season despite the shutdown. Many others have had to stay away though, and while I wish they could be with us, I appreciate their remote support as we minimize the risk to everyone's health and safety. Volunteers are the lifeblood of this museum, and we're fortunate to have the best. I'm grateful to our members, who despite limited access to the museum have stuck by us and renewed their memberships in droves. And I'm more grateful than I can ever express for our donors who stepped up in record numbers to help the Herreshoff Museum fight our way through the COVID storm. The Reimagine Reliance Society and the newly formed Resolute Syndicate have been home runs, and I'm so appreciative of the generosity shown to this organization during this tough time. Our supporters have made it possible for us to continue to deliver against the mission and serve our audience during a time when many others have gone into hibernation. And that's incredibly inspiring to all of us here at HMM. 2021 is going to be a tricky year to navigate, but we're continuing to move forward with purpose and determination. The great thing is that 2021 is also going to be a year of celebration befitting this organization's golden anniversary. And I'm looking forward to sharing that celebration with all of you.
If Bill Lynn is in the wheelhouse, Bob Yaro's on the aft deck providing steerageway. As the new board chairman, he's come aboard in a difficult year and taken to the role like no other. He has been instrumental in steering us through this storm, this pandemic, and I am happy to report, on the other side of this thing, stronger and healthier than ever, and not in small part because of Bob's thoughtful leadership. Bob Yaro, ladies and gentlemen.
For 50 years, we've been running face-to-face events at the museum. We've had a regatta. Initially, it was every other year, starting in the 1980s, but more recently, every year. It brings hundreds of people and dozens of boats together, and then events all year round that bring people to Bristol to share the place and to share the camaraderie and so forth. It's always been face to face, and the bad news is that with the pandemic, we're not able to do that this year. The good news is that with this new kind of medium, this new event, we're able to bring in people from Europe and Australia, New Zealand, and Asia, and around the world all over the country to participate in this event and share the camaraderie of the museum and feel like they're a part of the experience for even for a part of a day.
I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I have taken the position that Elisabeth cultivated and grew over a decade, leading the organization through a difficult chapter and into one of prosperity. It gives me great pleasure to introduce not only a trustee, but a friend and a mentor. Elisabeth has been extraordinarily gracious and kind, and I'm delighted she's here tonight, and we're delighted she has played such a significant role in the success of the Herreshoff Marine Museum. Elisabeth, please.
So good evening, everybody. My name is Elisabeth Lavers, and I have the honor to welcome you all to the Herreshoff Marine Museum virtual gala. A year ago, when we planned the fundraising events for 2020, we thought they were all going to be in person like they've been every other year. But when the pandemic hit in March, we thought, what do we do? Do we cancel everything, or do we think of a different format? And thanks to Ted Regan and Lynn, they came up with this brilliant idea that let's make it a virtual event. The benefit of that is that we can now reach out to our friends all around the world, and I am pretty sure that we have people tonight from both the United States, Canada, and some night owls in Europe, because they are 6 hours ahead of us, and also people from down under participating in this very special evening. The theme for tonight is to overcome challenges and come out stronger on the other end. And that has been the case for the museum. That is the case for some of the vignettes you will see tonight of people who have had some really tough challenges at sea, but came out triumphant on the other end.
There was the introduction, folks. The night has begun. Thank you again for being here. Next up, we have Sea Stories. But before that, just a little tutorial. On your left side of your screen, you're going to find we're in the main event, right? And what we want to, at the cannon break, do is go into sessions. So sessions equals virtual tables, right? So we're going to have 15 minutes twice during the production in which you can gather with your friends. Many of you already did that in the reception. If you hadn't, it's an exciting sort of 21st century part of this virtual gala that we're really excited about. So boom on that. A reminder, the auction's live, okay? And the bidding is happening, and there's a couple things you want to pay attention to. So go on and look at those things, because there's at least half you can't buy, right? You can't buy a motor yacht trip to Newport with lunch at the New York Yacht Club, okay? It's just, it's priceless. So you'll be bidding against me, just so you know. We've got Sea Stories up next. That's the next piece. I'm going to be introducing Bill Doyle and the story of his vessel, AMORITA. If you don't know it, it's powerful. Don't get up. Bill Doyle, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, it's been said that you never really own a classic boat. You're just a steward for it. For the length of time that that boat exists, you just have the privilege to take care of it, and you have a responsibility for both the owners before you and those that come after you. And it's something we always took very seriously. So in 2007, while sailing on our 1905 Herreshoff New York 30, we were run down by a much larger boat. It was traumatic. It's something that you can never imagine what it's like to be sitting on your boat, and before you know it, a 94-foot boat has effectively split you in half. We got thrown in the water. It happened within 7 seconds. The boat was gone. We didn't know what to think at the time. We didn't know if the boat was confetti and just gone into a million pieces, and we didn't know whether there was actually a boat to save. Boat. And we thought that maybe we would never see her again. but we hoped we would. So we got rushed ashore, and while ashore, we dried off and tried to get our heads straight. And then within hours, we were back at the site of the accident where divers had come and located the boat. And we had said to ourselves at that point, no matter what, we were going to restore her. We were never going to let her go. We felt obligated to the families and the Sea Scouts from the 20s and the 30s and the World War II and the 50s and the 70s, the family that saved the boat, that it was just too important a piece of history. Piece of Herreshoff history, a piece of yachting history. It just couldn't be left. It was a daunting feeling. But we said if there was a boat to be saved, we would save it. People ask me a lot of times, what's the most emotional time of the whole story? And I have to say, when the divers said there was a boat there and we could save her, that was the biggest relief. And we knew that if there was a boat, we'd save her. And that was the start of our journey. We thought it was the end, but that was just the start. She was in 30 feet of water. She was down there for 3 days, 3 very sleepless nights. And we had experts sitting next to her every day, every night. They had a boat stationed there with a red light. And then on Tuesday, the accident happened on a Saturday, and on Tuesday, they lifted her up, and we saw her for the first time. She was in 30 feet of water. They towed her around. They got her to the boatyard, and out she came in the fog, in the end of the day, and it was an eerie sight. So here was this unbelievable 100-year-old New York 30 with a giant chunk taken out of her all the way to the waterline. The number of people who came up to her just to touch her was amazing. You can't even imagine what it's like, what that feels like, but we were then even more determined than ever that we were going to save this boat. And that was just the beginning. After that, the one thing we didn't expect was a long fight. We didn't expect that the other owner and the other owner's insurance company would tell us she wasn't worth it, would try to give us a paltry amount of money that would never rescue her. They wanted us just to scrap her and total her, just like an old used Camry that got in a car wreck. They wanted to give us some money and say it was totaled. So for 18 months we fought against all odds, against the insurance company, against people's recommendations, and we said, we have to do this for the boat, for the life, and for the people that cared for her before us. So that was the hardest part. That was the unsurmountable challenge that we took on. And it took us 18 months. It took us a lot of work, and it took us a lot of dedication and an unwavering commitment. But we did it. We didn't get everything we needed, but we got enough money to save her and rescue her. After that, it was actually pretty easy. So another 2 years of restoration, MPG and Andy Giblin heading away. It was a labor of love for them and everyone who worked on it. And she was launched again 2 years later. Now she's better than ever. And since then, a lot of the families and relatives of people who owned her from the 30s and the 50s and the 70s have flown from all over the world and over the country to thank us for saving that boat. So we're very happy we did it, and I hope someday you get to see her.
Bill Doyle, ladies and gentlemen. I've heard the story a couple times now, and every time I hear it, it's profound and it resonates. As someone who has had a relationship with boats, I hear in that story the story of many of us, sailors, kayakers, paddlers, otherwise. We get it. I'm grateful that Bill was willing to join us tonight and share that story. And he's with us live, in fact, and I've got a few questions for him. If folks have other questions, please take advantage of the chat right now. But Bill Doyle, if I'd love to have some words with you. Thank you, sir. Here he is.
Hey, Ted, how are you? Thank you for including me.
Absolutely. You know, when we were imagining this production and brainstorming stories that would really resonate and be relevant for the Perseverance Gala, your name was thrown in the hat a dozen times, so it was a no-brainer that we'd reach out, and you very thoughtfully agreed. So it really, I think, in so many ways mirrors the journey of Herreshoff Marine Museum in and of itself, and much like your story having a happy ending, so is ours at the conclusion of 50 years and looking towards the next 50. I got a couple questions for you. You ready for the TED Talk? So, biggest lesson learned. I mean, I'm sure there were a dozen, but you know, what really, a couple years later, feels like it's up for you? And
There was probably three major lessons learned. One, we learned a lot about insurance. Classic boats do not get insured the way cars do, and you have to put in a value, an agreed value that will get you back what will restore the boat. That's number one. Number two, and this should resonate with anyone who races, we learned that the notice of race and the sailing instructions when you enter a race are actual legal binding documents that you agreed to, and they hold up in court. Nobody ever would have known that, and we learned that through the process. We also learned that the Coast Guard is concerned for your safety, but they're not the police. So if you're ever in an accident, you have to call the Coast Guard, but you actually have to call the police in case the person who hit you was drunk or something of that nature. That was not the case in ours, but we learned that lesson as well. Probably several other things, but we also learned how much these classic boats mean to people, not just us, but everyone else who cared for Henry.
Yeah. I think the part of your story that for me had the greatest impact is the telling, the sharing of these folks from the 30s and 50s and 70s that had been stewards, as you and your family have, of this vessel, coming and being with her again, you know, as stewards of 50 Herreshoff vessels. We get to experience that daily. Can you speak to any of those visitors?
Sure. I remember when we relaunched her in 2011, there was an elderly woman who nobody knew who she was. And she just happened to be in the background, and she was crying. And somebody went up and asked her, do you know the boat? Who are you with? And she said that every year when she was a teenager, that she would ride on the bow of AMORITA while it was in Cleveland, Ohio, when it launched. It was her uncle's boat, and she drove all the way down for the launching of AMORITA. We didn't invite her, we didn't know who she was. And then even as recent as this past summer, we were out sailing on AMORITA. The boat was sailing by, they made 180 degrees, they came motoring back up to us. The crowd of people said, "That was my grandfather's boat. We're so happy." And they gave us a round of applause just by being out of Narragansett today. So that happens to us a lot. It means so much to us.
Yeah. The one more, and we'll see. We'll open up to the chat. Still sailing? Still taking to the seas? Still racing?
He's doing wonderful. Yeah, she's had a fantastic season. We got her out quite a bit. Obviously, the racing is cut back quite a bit from COVID, and we've taken her off the racing course a little bit more than usual. But she's in great condition, and anybody wants to see her, she's moored right off of the green light and the point all summer long.
Awesome. I know a movie was produced. I haven't had a chance to watch it myself. I wanted to hear the story told firsthand. How can I watch the movie? Where can I find it?
So if you just Google AMORITA accident or something as simple as that, you'll get 1 million Google hits, and one of which will come up as a YouTube, and it'll show the preview, which is about a 7-minute preview, I think. The actual video itself, I've been told, can be found through French YouTube. I haven't seen it yet, but otherwise, we're still working on trying to get it out to the public, hopefully soon.
Wonderful. Awesome. Bill, thank you so much. Are you in a chat room tonight? Are you on a virtual table? Can folks sit with you and posit some questions?
Not yet, but I'm going to try to sign in through the other portal.
Okay, terrific. And maybe folks can use the chat to determine where Bill is if you want to sit with him and ask some questions. 2 15-minute candid breaks. Bill, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Great story. Peter Eisler. Peter Eisler's up next, and the story of Rambler 100. Okay, another powerful sea story. That's what we're hearing tonight, of these first-person testimonials of trials and tribulations and getting to the other side. So I want to take a minute to remind folks that there's a helpline, number 781-365-5463. If for any reason you're having any technical issues or you anticipate having, drop a dime, give us a shout, we're on it. But right now, we're on Peter Eisler. Peter, sir, thank you.
Perseverance. I'll tell you a little sea story about Perseverance. So I was sailing with you in the Irish Sea. It was on board the world's fastest monohull of its day, the speedboat, aka Rambler 100, which is the name we were sailing it under, with our owner George David and a great team of sailors, 21 sailors in all. And we had just completed a transatlantic race record run and set a new course record that remains to this day. This boat was made for breaking records sailing across oceans. When we sailed it in Cowsweek, it was a little bit funny with the push-button winches, canting keel, dagger boards, but we did it. And then finally it was time for the famed 600-mile Fastnet race, and we were ready for it. The forecast was good, and we were looking for another record to feather our caps with. Little did we know that fate and the leprechauns of Ireland had another thing coming for us. We got around Fastnet Rock okay. Luckily, we were reefed, so everybody had their life jackets on, as was required by the rule. And Daniel Forster got this photo of us rounding Fastnet Rock. That was the last time Rambler 100 was upright with her masts and sails up. Because about 20 minutes later, as we were about to tack and call the ley line for the offset mark and start reaching home to the course record, I was down below in the nav station when I heard the loudest bang. Slowly turning to a 90-degree tilt. Had we broken the rig? No, I think the keel broke. And that it did. The keel fin, the canted keel fin, broke off right near the root. What happened? It wasn't strong enough. So what transpired in the next 2 minutes or so was something that is fascinating to review, and every member of the Rambler team has a different story. For me, my job as navigator was to call for help. So tilted at a 90-degree angle, I picked up the VHF and started calling a mayday. All the electronics are still going. Heck, the engine was still going, which powers the powered winches. And but I heard no call in return, so I picked up the handheld VHF, figuring the antenna being in the water wasn't a good thing for radio transmission. I was halfway through my second mayday call when I felt the boat slowly turning all the way to an inversion. At that point, I was the last person on board the boat, and the boat was upside down. But I've been swimming all summer, and I felt not worried at all. I was amazingly calm. Had full foul weather gear, boots, thermals, an inflatable life jacket that was, of course, disabled. The auto feature was disabled. And I went to jump out of the aft hatch, dive in that 58-degree water, and swim that 15 feet to the perimeter of the boat, and about 4 feet down to clear the lifelines, and all would be good. I'll be back out in the daylight. I got about halfway out, and I realized I was swimming slower than I had expected, all that gear on. And so I went back up to the cockpit sole to catch another breath of air. And at that point, as I put my hand up to look for the air pocket bubble at the cockpit sole, I realized there was no air pocket. And now I was halfway out of breath and only halfway to the perimeter of the boat and all the way at the surface. So I swam down at the steepest angle I dared, as hard as I could for as long as I could, because I was swimming for my life. And when I finally couldn't go another centimeter, I let buoyancy start bringing me up. And it was painfully slow. I was so soggy at that point. Buoyancy wasn't working very well. I looked up praying that I could get a breath of air. I saw 2 black dots, and I was hoping that they were somebody's feet. And so as soon as I got close enough to touch them, I started poking them. And the hand of the strongest crew member on board the boat, Andrew Taylor, grabbed me and pulled me clear of the water, where I had the second best breath of air I've ever had in my life. There were so many decisions made by the 20 members of the crew that resulted in the Rambler 100 story having no loss of life. And there were some very creative, like throwing spinnaker sheets and the main sheet out of sheet bags as soon as the boat had turned on 90 degrees. So there's more stuff in the water to grab onto. 3 of the crew members were able to do the dry roll and get on board the hull. So we're able to slowly get everybody up on the hull. Well, we counted heads. Everybody was 16 of us. We had 21 on the crew. 5 people had drifted away. And it was too much current, and I already knew you couldn't swim very fast. I fired up the PLB that I'd had in my pocket ever since we'd done the transatlantic run and figured a helicopter would be there any minute. That's not the way the global search and rescue system works, especially not when you're firing up just one of those PLBs. And it took 3 hours before we had a RNLI, Royal Naval Life Saving Institute lifeboat alongside. When we told them, hey, don't worry about us. There's 5 people off in this direction you need to search for. We got the good news that there was another boat searching for them. So we slowly started disembarking off our ride where we'd sat for almost 3 hours, praying that somebody would come and rescue us or find us so we could get our 5 teammates who were in the water. When we were on the RNLI lifeboat, as we're motoring in the hour and a half into shore, we got word pretty quickly on the radio that from the other search boat that all victims were aboard. That was good news, we thought. In fact, of the 5 people in the water, George David's now wife, Wendy David, her core temperature was so cold that she was immediately airlifted off and had to spend 3 days in the ICU. For the rest of us, we were welcomed in Baltimore, Ireland at the Baltimore Yacht Club. I spent the next day teaching junior sailing and just helping the kids. And we all had an amazing experience, an amazing welcome there in Ireland. But it was thanks to the great decisions by a number of the crew individually that resulted in no loss of life, and the fact that the RNLI was already out there and deployed and able to find the 5 that drifted away in a timely fashion. People ask me what were my takeaways. Well, aside from trying to surround yourselves with the most experienced people who make creative, good decisions when things go wrong and when times are tough, the 2 main takeaways are the same thing that my mom taught me when I first started messing about in boats. Always wear your life jacket and always stay with the boat. Your odds are a lot better. Hey, keep on persevering, folks. We'll all get through this together. Thanks.
Amazing story, Pedro. Thank you for squishing what is really an hour-long tale into 7 minutes. Very much appreciated. It's a harrowing story. It was harrowing when we heard about it at the time, and we were praying that all you guys were okay. But it's amazing to hear it again all these years later. Pedro's going to join us. I have a couple of questions I'd love to ask you. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Billy. Good to see you.
Excellent. Good to see you too. Thank you for joining us tonight. It's a special occasion, and couldn't have it without you. Incredible story, and obviously, your point about surrounding yourselves with amazing sailors is what sort of helped you get through this. The story about you trying to get air and going into the cockpit, I mean, at that point, did you have any idea whether help was coming or not?
No, it was another world. I had, made 2 unsuccessful transmissions for help. And at that point, I think we were everybody was individually thinking, how do I get out of the water and up on the hull? And thank God those 3 guys did the laser dry roll and, was on the boat when it was capsized to the mast horizontal and just kept on walking the circle. So because it was hard once you're in the water to get pulled up on deck. There's no way I could have pulled myself up onto the, not deck, but the hull after being all waterlogged and just so exhausted from swimming out from under the hull. You know what? My thought process at that point as I was diving in the water and starting to swim, it was, the wildest recollections. Like one, I was thinking, this is kind of like a haunted house. There are all these dangling ropes, and I swam between the two wheels. It was like this creative aqua water world haunted house. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, it had been that summer where that girl, Olivia Constant, a 420 sailor in Annapolis, had perished in a tragic accident in a 420. You and I both sailed lots of dinghies, and she was tangled up and the boat capsized. And for some reason, she came into my mind. And at that point, I wasn't scared, but it's wild what the mind thinks about. But pretty soon thereafter, all I could think about was oxygen, please.
I can imagine. Just one more last follow-up. I know we're sort of up against the clock, but real quick. Tonight's theme is about making lemonade out of lemons. Is there anything that comes out of this experience that has kind of changed your life for the better?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you one thing I do every day, and it was a promise I made myself after the Rambler incident, was every time I walk past a rose, I smell it. Because life is precious, and you got to appreciate it while it's there. And that rose smelled pretty good today. I'm proud of the Rambler 100 family. All of us have contributed to safety at sea courses where, there's a lot of great sailors there, and they're all looked up to when they get on a boat, and they're the first persons to put on their life jackets. I know I have a lot of fun showing off my safety chops when I sail on the New York 50 Spartan, the Herreshoff 50 boat it's so much fun to sail, and got a chance to sail this summer. I can't wait to get back out on the water and continue to sort of lead the way. And there's one of the main takeaways was there's not always one right way to do things. And that's what perseverance is about. It's that body of knowledge that somehow you get from those years messing about in boats that gives you that reaction, and including safety at sea courses and all the road stuff that makes you hopefully make a decision that creates better odds that you and your friends will survive. Keep listening to Channel 15 and go the HMM. We're huge fans out here in California.
Excellent. Thank you, my friend. I'm sure you've taken time out from practicing with your band, so I'll let you get back to that. And thank you for joining us. It's terrific to see you, and I can't wait to get back out on the Spartan with you. And with that, thank you, Pedro. Now we're going to hear from a few of our friends around the world. It should be some faces you recognize and some fun words from our friends.
From all of us at Snedeker Yacht and HM Code 625, happy 50th anniversary, Herreshoff Marine Museum. Here's to 50 years of education, preservation, and the celebration of Herreshoff yachts. Thank you. Cheers. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Carolina Stefanski, Robbe and Birking's Silver and Yachting Ambassador. I was supposed to do this toast from my home base in Berlin, but I'm standing here on a beautiful mountain in Switzerland, and I am sending my very best wishes to the Herreshoff Museum and the entire team. Congratulations for your dedication and your endurance during this very challenging year. Here is to the Herreshoff Museum. Congratulations and cheers.
Gary Jobson here, to all my friends and supporters of the Herreshoff and the America's Cup Hall of Fame. Well, it's a great season to be jolly and to be thankful. Crazy year 2020, but better years are ahead. So here's a toast to everybody. Thank you.
Congratulations, Herreshoff Marine Museum, Bill Lyon and his crew. It's been a difficult year, but you've managed to persevere, and I wish you best of luck next year with your Golden Jubilee and in welcoming you as a partner in the 221 Newport International Boat Show.
I'm delighted to toast the Herreshoff Marine Museum for navigating the challenges of 2020 in fine form. Cheers.
Cheers to the Herreshoff Marine Museum.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
All the best for the Herreshoff Marine Museum and all of its patrons and friends in the coming year, and great success, and hopefully a lot more openness and togetherness in 2021. Best. Cheers.
Cheers to the Herreshoff Marine Museum from your friends at Lowell's Boat Shop.
I wish you fair winds and following seas and a fantastic Golden Jubilee in 2021 and beyond. Congratulations!
Hey everybody, Lynn here again, encouraging you to participate in the live auction. You should check it out. There's some amazing things in this auction. Robbie and Birking provided us with a pair of silver tumblers. These things are absolutely amazing. This isn't like any old silver. The 12 meters between Weatherly and Heritage and Intrepid and what's the other one? Ottawa. How could I forget Ottawa? These are amazing. I mean, these are iconic 12 meters. Ottawa's the classic. The others are sort of the moderns. And these boats are fantastic. There isn't anyone out there that doesn't have a bunch of clients or customers or donors, 9 people that you need to hook up with a great day in Newport. This is the way to do it. These things are being bid on now, and I hope everybody will jump in and bid on them as well. Rob and Chris Ayerle have generously donated their boat Christine, and they will take you to Newport for lunch at Harbor Creek, which should be an absolutely wonderful day. Cocktail reception in the Hall of Boats for you and 19 of your friends. What a great way to social distance in a great environment. Ted has ponied up his Castine cottage, which is not a cottage, it's actually a 10-bedroom compound in Castine. So get your family together, your extended family together, and bid off and bid now. Thank you. So we're checking in on the lighthouse. We're at 10,000 now versus our goal of 35. And you guys can help us get there. Go and check out the auction items. We're going to be coming up on our first cannon break, which is your opportunity to go back to your table. And the way you do that is you click on the tab, the little link on the left side of your screen that says Sessions. You will then go to your table, and that will give you a great opportunity to refresh your cocktail and take a look at the auction items and bid as much as you can. So we really appreciate it, and have a lovely little break. We'll see you in 15 minutes.
Welcome back. Hopefully you had a lot of fun in your chat room, your virtual table, having organized more than a couple galas and regattas and otherwise. It's all new to me, but I just bopped into a couple. I plan on bopping in a lot more on the next break because why? Bids, bids, bids. There's a rumor out there that there's an auction, and it's true. So don't make me buy everything. But I will. Next piece, really important piece, the kids, okay, right? Because it's as much as we love that we're a maritime museum and we do good and important work there, we are really stepping fully into this youth development piece. One of the reasons I'm involved, and I just love it. We're gonna hear from 3 instructors, Isabella, Wade, and Brian. Don't believe a word I'm saying, hear it from them. Here's Isabella, Wade, and Brian. Share.
We have an opportunity here to inspire the next generation of problem solvers with stories about the Herreshoff Manufacturing Company, stories that we tell all throughout this museum. But then we have an opportunity to actually hand the kids tools and have them build boats in our boat shop across the street to give them the opportunity to actually solve problems on their own. Our education program taps directly into the legacy of the Herreshoff Manufacturing Company and its founders. John and Nat Herreshoff were 2 of the more brilliant engineers, 2 of the more brilliant minds in the 19th century. As problem solvers, they were unparalleled. We have an opportunity to continue that legacy here on this same campus, in this same town today.
When I started here, I had no idea what sailing was, so I stepped on the boat, and I think my first instructor was Jonathan, and he really showed me how cool sailing was. And you know, then I moved on to another instructor, and they taught me stuff, and it's the trickle-down effect of like them teaching me made me want to become an instructor and carry on the same values and ideas to the younger generation. And then hopefully they're going to become instructors just like us, and they're going to bring it down to the next generation and just keep going and keeping the art of sailing alive.
I mean, I love it here. This is where I learned how to sail, and this is where most of my sailing experience has been. And I think for a lot of the stuff that I want to do further in my life, Herreshoff has kind of inspired that.
I've been sailing here since I was 6, and it's always been my goal to teach sailing, so it really emphasizes that I can really do it. To be able to stand up in front of the kids and really be an influence on them is something that's important to me. So I've learned that I can influence other people and kind of have an impact on kids' lives, you know. I have a few stories. I mean, so many good stories that have come out of Herreshoff Sailing Camp. I mean, there's so much times on the water where I've been with instructors when I was a kid that I love telling to my students, and I always tell them to my students, which is kind of like an important part of sailing, is I love how stories can be passed down through generations.
I think sailing too is just such a unique sport and way to pass the time. And I mean, I have my own experience with it, which has been so special, but I think it's cool because you can meet people all over the world, and if they're into boats and you say the Herreshoff name, they'll automatically know it, and they have such an appreciation. It's such a way to make connections. And we say sailing's a dying sport, but I think the people who are in it have such an appreciation, such a passion for it. And it's not just a passion with the boats, but it's with nature too. You have to know the wind and the water, and I think that's so beautiful, and it's so unique. Like, you're not going to find anything else like that and in any other pastime or sport that you do.
You look at this awesome organization, you look at Nat Herreshoff and Halsey, who's still around, and you know what they built for this, like America's Cup, like how such a big race, and how we actually built boats for that reason. And you look at them and it's an inspiration on how much they did for us, how much they developed Bristol even through the sailing organization. It's such an art being sailing, working hard, competing against each other when you're racing. It's otherworldly.
In the fall of 2021, I plan on going to the University of Leiden, and I'm going to study international relations and sustainable development. And I think Herreshoff, and Bristol in general actually, has really inspired a passion for a love of nature and an appreciation for keeping our environment and the aesthetic value, not only the aesthetic value, but I think that's where I have an emotional connection to.
I really want to encourage everyone to participate in the auction and donate to the museum. It really helps keep Herreshoff's legacy and sailing camp alive.
Thank you so much for letting me do what I do. Being out here every day on the water, I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys participate in the auction so I and other people can keep doing that.
I encourage everybody to donate if possible. It really would be supportive towards the museum to help keep this place intact as long as possible and really keep the memories of the kids and the memories of the people and the boats, just the history of Herreshoff together.
Oh my God, those guys. Bella, Brian, Wade, thank you. Anytime I need encouragement about what I do, I just go talk to those guys. It's really fun. We're at 17.5. We're about halfway there. This is, we're working on it. We're making progress. If you want to donate and support the programming and what Bella, Brian, and Wade are doing, there's a lot of ways you can do it. This isn't the auction. This is just people throwing money at our programming, our educational programming, and our sailing instructors who are changing kids' lives every day. There's a bunch of ways to do it. You can go to the website. You can donate. You can text a donation to 207-749-3520. Easy one, just text a number and we'll call you tomorrow or the next day and get your credit card number. The other thing you could do is you can email a donation to donate@herreshoff.org. And if you do that, again, just put your phone number or your name and we'll call you and get your pledge. So easy to do, real simple. Don't leave your screen, don't close your browser window, just pick up your phone and do it now. I really appreciate it. We're at 17.5, we're halfway there. Help us get the rest of the way there. Thank you. Quick thing to tell you guys. Robbie and Birking donated a tumbler set to us, and these guys are really good friends of ours. We got to know them very well when we went to Flensburg last fall for the America's Cup Hall of Fame induction. Robbie and Birking, if you don't know them, they are the leading silversmith in the world, and everything they make by hand in their factory in Flensburg. The company's been around since the late 1700s, the late 1800s, the same time as Herreshoff Manufacturing Company, and it's been family run for generations. They are amazing people, and you saw a toast from our friend Karolina Stefanski from Robbie and Birking earlier. Robbie and Birking also owns a classics yard, and it's the home of all the classic 12 meters in the Baltic. You saw Weatherly is in our auction, and many of you know that Weatherly won the America's Cup in 1962 with Bus Mossbacher helming. The boat that Weatherly defeated in the 1962 Cup was Gretel, which was helmed by Sir James Hardy, who was also a major supporter of this museum and a good friend. At the Robbie and Birking Classics Yard, Gretel sits, awaiting someone to come along and restore her. The 12-meter Worlds are happening in Newport in 2022, and it would be awesome if somebody would go get Gretel, restore it, bring it back here, and race her against Weatherly once again in 2022. So I hope somebody is crazy enough to do that. The last thing I want to say is coming up is a special award. And as Ted said earlier, there were 2 recipients. There's actually only one. And this award is a new one for the museum. It's being dedicated this year. And we're going to tell you a little bit about it. And it's the recipient. I'm not going to tell you who it is. You'll find out soon enough. But it is somebody really special. So stay tuned.
You know, all of us tend to think back to what did we first remember as children. My first memory was when I was actually about 4 years old in 1937. And it was that one evening in the late summer, there was the arrival of the Endeavour, a challenger for the America's Cup of 1937. So naturally, the family rolled out of our house down the street, and my father and mother walked quickly up to the shop here, the Herreshoff Manufacturing Company, because these challengers always came into the Herreshoffs in order to be fitted out ready for the Cup. And my brother, older than me, tagged along, and I was this little 4-year-old kid trying to keep up with them. So that's my first memory, and it was, you know, interesting, very beautiful view in the late afternoon sunset, and so maybe that's one of the reasons that I'm so devoted to the America's Cup races, that I was first impressed by it at the age of 4.
There you have it, folks. There's the range we're talking about, right? From young kids to seasoned sailors. We've got some toasts coming up. I know that folks enjoy those a lot, and we really appreciate hearing from people all around the world. I don't think I got to tell you to donate. I think everybody got that message now. You can go to the website, or you can text 207-749-3520. Some of you may recognize that number. A little correction. You may have heard earlier that there were 2 award recipients. Well, the award recipient this year is such a home run. We wanted, I don't want to give away the gender, but we didn't want this person to share the stage with anyone. She is deserved of the award in and of herself. So there's one recipient, and I can't wait, and I bet you can't either, to find out who it is. So stay tuned, enjoy the toast, and we're going to break it into cannons after that. More chit-chatter in your rooms where you'll encourage each other to bid, and then we're going to find out who wins the Rebecca Herreshoff Award tonight. Okay, we'll see you in a bit.
Nelson Langley from Camden, Maine, calling in to wish you guys a successful gala tonight. The Perseverance Gala couldn't be a more apt name. Thanks for persevering through 2020. Thanks for all that you do. And looking forward to 2021, celebrating the Herreshoff Marine Museum's 50th anniversary. Woohoo! Good luck.
Hi, this is Steve Tsuchiya in Cincinnati, Ohio, raising a toast to the Herreshoff Marine Museum, my favorite maritime museum in the world. I hope to see all of you in person next year for the Golden Jubilee. Cheers.
From high atop of the Swiss Alps, my name is Gerald Rayner. I'm the owner of Mary Rose, a 1926 Herreshoff schooner, and I'm delighted to toast the Herreshoff Marine Museum for Weathering 2020. I wish you all a successful Perseverance Gala, and I look forward to participating in Herreshoff Marine Museum's raft of events and activities next year during the Golden Jubilee.
Γεια σας από την Ελλάδα. Greetings from Greece. I'm Sotiris Bouzeas, team principal of Greek Challenge, the first ever America's Cup team from Greece. On the eve of the 50th anniversary of the Herreshoff Marine Museum, I would like to congratulate you for your perseverance during the pandemic.
Good morning. My name is Warren Barker. I teach the second year at Iris in Newport, Rhode Island, and these are the second year students. They will graduate in 2021, and they have a message for you, the Herreshoff Marine Museum, and on 1, 2, go.
Thank you for the valuable resources you provide.
Thank you very much.
Hi there, it's Nathan, Emma and Jack Outteridge. We're in New Zealand and we want to wish you all the best at the Herreshoff Museum Perseverance Gala.
2020 has been a pretty interesting year for us all. We're very lucky that we've got new life coming due on Christmas Day, but we're thinking of you all there, especially Jack, who would like to have a sip already. But we just wanted to say well done for making it through the year, and here's to a prosperous 2021. Cheers!
Cheers, guys!
From the 1898 vessel Rainbow here in New Zealand, my name is Halsey Herreshoff and I'm delighted to toast the Herreshoff Marine Museum and the America's Cup Hall of Fame for Weathering 2020. I wish you all a successful Perseverance Regatta and look forward to participating in the Herreshoff Marine Museum's raft of events and activities during the next year during its Golden Jubilee. Best of luck.
Hello and greetings to everyone participating in the Herreshoff Marine Museum Annual Gala. The Herreshoff Museum is a treasure for Rhode Island. If you go back 100 years, the Herreshoff Boatyard was probably about as close as we got to Silicon Valley in the United States. Maybe Thomas Edison's workshop would compete with it. But it's a very important piece of our history, and it's a sign of the technology and innovation that Rhode Island is capable of. So thank you very much for supporting this event. Congratulations to Bill Lynn for his leadership of the Marine Museum and for pulling off this gala in COVID world. And many successes to you all in the future.
Greetings, this is John Lemmert van Buren from the Netherlands. I'm delighted to bring out a toast to the America's Cup Hall of Fame in the Herreshoff Marine Museum and commend you all for weathering what has been a very difficult 2020. I thought the idea of having a Perseverance Gala is excellent, and with your permission over there, I think we should do exactly the same thing over here and all around the world.
Greetings everyone, I'm Rob Mundell and I'm coming to you from the magnificent Gold Coast here in a sunny and summery Australia. It's my honour to toast the Herreshoff Marine Museum and the America's Cup Hall of Fame for the way in which they weathered 2020. I also want to wish everyone a successful Perseverance Gala and hope that you enjoy next year's Golden Jubilee.
Is going?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey Bill, congratulations on pulling this congratulations on pulling this gala together and for keeping things rolling over the past 9 months. Hey Bill, congratulations on pulling this gala together and for you and your team working so hard over the past 9 months to keep things rolling. We love you. Cheers.
Welcome back. Here we are. Wow. I don't know. There's so many parts that are my favorite. We promised sea stories. We promised kids stories. We promised an award that's not here yet, but we've been promising an auction, and that's still going on. But let me tell you, only for 10 more minutes. I want to check with the team on the lighthouse. Where are we with the lighthouse progress? There it is. We're $21,000. Wow, that is really great. We're climbing the lighthouse, ladies and gentlemen. We can almost touch it. So come on. I know there's a couple out there who've been waiting. So come on. Let's see if we can hit that 35. It's the last call for the auction. We negotiated with the folks there. We got an additional 10 minutes. So last call is at 7:40. Honestly, that's it, right? So we're just about at the end. I know that people are dying to find out who's going to win the Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award tonight, affectionately referred to as the Becky. Some of you probably have already guessed it. I've seen some hints out there. The chat rooms were a blast. Great to see my dear friends, the Ayerles and Elisabeth and others, Mary Jane, Amelia. I want to give a note to David Gurton, who conceived some of these ideas, and it was great to see him there in one of the rooms as well. We're transitioning to the award now, okay? So sit back, enjoy this piece. It's a for me, it's one of the more powerful pieces of this evening, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So I'm going to hand it over to our guy, Bill. Bill, take it away.
It's a great honor for me to honor this recipient of the Becky Award. The Becky Award is named for my mother, Rebecca Chase Herreshoff, and she was always called Becky. And I think the award is so appropriate because she had qualities which were in many ways exemplary, and a zest for life, a person who accomplished lots of things, great fundraiser. We really wouldn't have a Herreshoff Marine Museum if it hadn't been for her role in getting it to happen. And so, of all the possibilities for having a top award here at the 50-year anniversary of the founding of this museum, there couldn't be a better basis for it than Becky Herreshoff, and I feel a great satisfaction in the naming of the award in that way, and what it's going to mean in the future.
Let's give a warm welcome to Bill Lynn, our CEO, who will be announcing and presenting the award to two, not one, but two people for the Becky Award, which is essentially our Lifetime Achievement Award for recognizing time, talent, and treasure towards the museum and our mission.
Good evening, friends of HMM. So glad you could join us this evening. Tonight, we introduce the museum's new Perpetual Award. And over the next 10 minutes, you'll hear a bit about the person for whom the award is named. And you'll hear about and from our first recipient. If you're wondering who it is, your first clue might be the fact that behind me is a case full of books about boats. The Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award celebrates the extraordinary life and attributes of the co-founder of the Herreshoff Marine Museum, without whose impassioned leadership, contagious enthusiasm, and tireless advocacy, this museum would likely not be about to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Known fondly as Becky, she was born in 1894, and as a young girl was often seen accompanying her father, Captain Halsey Chase, aboard the ferryboat Harvest from Prudence Island to Bristol. Becky was a pioneer. In adulthood, she would become the first woman to be licensed as a pilot of a commercial vessel in New England, captaining Harvest at the age of 27. Given the novelty of a female boat captain, many newspapers of the day wrote about, quote unquote, Rebecca at the throttle. Becky was an avid and competitive sailor, winning many races in her Herreshoff 12.5 Minx. She was also an accomplished swimmer, often swimming with her friend Johnny Weissmuller, whom some of you will know better as Tarzan. She also enjoyed acrobatic aquaplaning atop the shoulders of her husband, Sidney. There are pictures of them doing this, and I have to tell you, it looks incredibly difficult. Crazy, crazy sport. Becky was a woman of action. Along with her twin sister, Rachel, she co-founded the first Mariner Girl Scout troop in Bristol, and it's been said that she was instrumental in creating the National Girl Scout Mariners Manual. Becky was an impassioned community organizer and fundraiser. She was one of the first to take pollution seriously and started the anti-litter movement in Bristol. Legend has it that she created a giant rummage sale, raising funds for our sister city, war-torn Bristol, England. Rebecca Chase Herreshoff's selfless good deeds are too numerous to mention in a single sitting. But perhaps nearest and dearest to her heart was her role as co-founder of her beloved Herreshoff Marine Museum, remaining as a trustee until her passing at age 96 in 1991. Recipients of the new Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award share Becky's exceptional qualities. They're passionate about boats. Few things make them happier than being around them or messing about in them. They're active in their pursuit of building community and educating the public. Leading from behind and from ahead, they demonstrate through actions their beliefs and values. They are selfless, generously donating time, talent, and treasure to preserving history, advancing the sailing community, and offering hope and inspiration to the youth of Rhode Island. And they're tireless in their advocacy of this museum, enlisting others to participate, encouraging others to dig deeper, and offering sound, if not always welcome, advice. The inaugural recipient of this award is the Herreshoff Marine Museum's archivist, librarian, and registrar, Noreen Rixon. Quite literally the definition of an unsung hero, Noreen has become the heart and soul of HMM over the past 18 years. And tonight, she finally gets the recognition she so richly deserves. Here's Associate Curator Evelyn Ansell to introduce tonight's honoree.
Noreen Rixon has worked tirelessly to preserve the HMCO and America's Cup legacies here at the museum since 2002. She is currently the longest running keeper of the collection on our staff, and after 18 years, she has become the caretaker of not just the objects, but also the stories that give these artifacts their value. She holds not one, but 3 key titles in the collections department: registrar, archivist, and librarian, and even so, still manages to do more. To quote Curator Emeritus John Palmieri, "Many of us have worked and have received ample recognition for the project of the day, be it a new restoration or some brand new exhibit, event, or program. Noreen, of course, has contributed to each, but what sets her apart is her unmatched dedication to documenting the collection. Just as Becky Herreshoff worked often behind the scenes to found the museum, Noreen has brought the richness of the collection to life where visible, and it can be understood, interpreted, and used to inspire and inform. In essence, Noreen's work has enabled the museum to perform its mission." Working in the collections department of a small museum can be a challenging, dirty, and unglamorous job, but Noreen's incredible wit, uncanny memory for people, and uncompromising dedication have made her a favorite among her volunteers, past and present, visitors, researchers, and fellow staff members. She deftly handles the day-to-day minutia of database management, research requests, preventive conservation, and the tracking of tens of thousands of artifacts, photographs, and books. This day-to-day work is occasionally punctuated by calls that lead to field rescue missions. I've seen this archivist registrar unflinchingly tackle bat-infested vaults, stifling attics, abandoned houses, shuttered industrial buildings, foreclosed basement bars, and even on one occasion, the subterranean maze of a fort, all in pursuit of chasing artifacts and preserving the Herreshoff and America's Cup legacies. She also is the one who taught me to always take note of your escape route before undertaking such field artifact retrieval missions. Noreen takes it all in stride. Her institutional knowledge is unparalleled, and none of the rest of us could do our jobs without having her here to tell us the story, show us where it's listed in the book, point us to the right shelf, or remind us who that person was. And whether we are writing hundreds of tedious condition reports at our desks or salvaging artifacts in the field, there's no one I would rather be doing this work alongside. I'm deeply honored to present this inaugural Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award to HMM's own registrar, archivist, librarian, and so much more, Noreen Rixon.
I'm very honored. That goes doesn't even begin to tell you how honored I am actually to be the first recipient of the Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award. She has been an inspiration actually to me since I came to this museum, and I was quite gobsmacked, as I like to say in my British way, when I was told that I was going to be recipient of this award, which I think is a great honor for anybody who does receive it. Becky, as we know her so fondly, was such a hands-on person, and in fact, from my days in the consulting firm, of which there were many, but not as many as here, I always like to show and tell. And my presentation includes one of my favorite pictures of Becky Herreshoff, and that is when she and Halsey were setting up the museum for the first time at 18 Burnside, the Sidney Herreshoff room, and this was in 1977. And this wonderful photograph is one of many taken by Paul Darling, one of the wonderful people I have met in my journey here. And it shows, she's very hands-on. Here she is doing this. And I think the museum, it's a small museum. Everybody pitches in, everybody does what has to be done. Everybody is committed to the legacy of the Herreshoff name and America's Cup. And that's kind of, there's no, I want to say no personality, but that's not quite right. Everybody is kind of, it's a team effort, always has been from 2002 to now. The team members have changed a little bit over the years, but it's always been a team, and it's never been a question of individuals take credit or anything like that. It's really just been, we're doing our part to promote the legacy. And I have the people I've met over the years, probably it's cliche to say that really the people are what you remember most and what's most important, but actually that's true. Certainly the people we are honoring with the legacy, Captain Nat, I'm beginning to know him very well, John, Katie, who took so many of these photographs here, of course Becky and Sydney and Halsey, Nat, Halsey too. All these people have really contributed to the legacy, and of course, but we have a few people who are still with us who contributed. John Palmieri, people like Maynard Bray. I can't believe that I actually knew Maynard Bray, really, and I got to meet Maynard Bray and I got to talk to him. Paul Darling, who took these wonderful America's Cup pictures. To me, it's just phenomenal that I walked in the door answering an ad in the newspaper, volunteer wanted. Terry Sudo, who was the volunteer office manager in charge of everything here, basically. When I showed up for my interview, her one question was, can you work Saturday afternoon? I said, well, yes, I can. And so I did that. And James Russell was the development director. And he said, well, would you like to work on an America's Cup database? And I said, well, sure. And John Palmieri said, well, would you like to work in the archives? And I said, well, okay. And Elisabeth, and I, of course, said, well, I can do that. I can be a librarian too. And when the librarian left, she said, well, why don't you take this job? It's the best job in the world at boats and books. You know, what's wrong with that? And I said, well, okay, I'll do that. So it just, but they gave me opportunities, and I was able to take advantage of them. But to this day, I really can't believe that the place that I walked by or drove by when I went from Riverside to Middletown to see my family, and I see the boats on the Hard, the Herreshoff boats on the Hard, and I'd say, someday I'm going to sneak into that place and look at those boats. Little did I know I didn't have to sneak in. It was actually a museum. And two, that eventually they would let me come here every day and look at those boats. And so that Herreshoff legacy, of course, is very important, but the consultant in me was also told I must show that I've been interested in the America's Cup since 1962. And I was going to donate this scrapbook, but somehow we probably don't need it in our collection. We have a lot of great scrapbooks in our collection, America's Cup. But you can see in 1962, even then, as a youth, more or less, I was interested in the America's Cup. And I had this wonderful scrapbook that I prepared. But little did I know that one of these days, I would meet Ted Hood. I would meet Sir James Hardy. And it really is just phenomenal. And to me, really. I could have taken some other volunteer job, but I didn't. And getting to work in the America's Cup area, getting to work in the America's Cup database with Ed DeMoulin was just a real thrill for me, a wonderful opportunity. We were here one day, and DeMoulin was just very hands-on. He wanted to have a database. He wanted to represent everybody who worked associated with the Cup. And so he handed me all these handwritten pages. He said, well, here's a database. And James Russell found somebody who could prepare a kind of access database shell. So he will set it up. Why don't you just do this? I said, okay. And one day we were up here, Ed and I were working, and it was a night of a lecture. And we were debating one of the vessels, should we call it Olin Stevens, or should we call it Sparkman Stevens as a designer? And we were having a lecture series, and Olin Stevens was going to be, the lecturer. So Ed said, well, why don't we get down and ask Olin how he would like to have that? I said, well, oh, okay. so we traipsed downstairs, and we said, Ed said, Olin, we're going to, have this vessel, and we're going to put it in as designer as Olin Stevens or Sparkman Stevens. What do you think we should do? And he said, well, Sparkman Stevens. And so we came upstairs, and Ed said, nah, we're not doing that. So it's Olin Stevens. I said, well, of course. But those types of experiences, seeing the regattas, going to America's Cup inductions, presenting that database at the New York Yacht Club in the model room, those are experiences that getting this wonderful Reliance pin. Thank you very much for my volunteer work. We're more than enough reward for me, but if you really want to give me an award, I'd be more than happy to accept the Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award, Rebecca and Minx. And I will say that Minx was just a little 12.5 we have in the collection that she sailed. And one of the women she sailed with, Ruth Watson, was a volunteer here when I first started. So I even got to meet Becky's sailing companion. So thank you, it's been wonderful. And if you want to hear more, just come to the library someday and I'll tell you all about it. Thank you.
Hey, I wanted everyone to see this cool mask that Evelyn made for me by hand on her many sewing machines. Congratulations, Noreen. Amazing. It's incredibly well-deserved. And I actually have a couple of letters to read to you. One from your friend, James Russell, who you mentioned in your acceptance speech. And I'm not going to attempt an Irish accent here, but James says, Noreen, a hearty and well-deserved congratulatory wave from Nantucket. James is the executive director of the Nantucket Historical Society now, just FYI. A well-deserved congratulatory wave from Nantucket to you on receiving this special Rebecca Chase Herreshoff Award. It is with great fondness and memories that I remember your arrival at the HMM at the turn of the century. Since then, and over the past 2 decades, your dedication to making the library vibrant and active and a recognized repository for scholars has furthered the HMM's mission. Certainly, Rebecca Chase Herreshoff would be proud of your efforts and accomplishments. And I have another one to read. This one is from Rear Admiral Shoshana Chatfield, who is the head of the Naval War College. She's the president of the Naval War College. Rear Admiral Chatfield was a Navy helicopter pilot in Afghanistan as well, and in command of the provincial reconstruction team. Admiral Chatfield writes, on behalf of the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Naval War College, it is my pleasure to congratulate Ms. Noreen Rickson on her receipt of the inaugural Becky Award from the Herreshoff Marine Museum. Her dedication to historic preservation, the celebration of technology, and continuing support to scholarship and education makes her the perfect first recipient of this notable award. Again, congratulations. And as we say in the Navy to someone who's completed a job well done, bravo Zulu. Bravo Zulu, Noreen. My next task is to announce the auction. We have the first one, which is the Robbie and Birking silver tumblers. The winner is Bharat Murthy. The half-day motor yacht charter. Oh, no, I'm sorry, we're on Weatherly. The Weatherly charter winner is Steve Edelston, who probably could have gotten that for nothing. Intrepid charter is Steve Kloblin. Thank you, Steve. Excellent, excellent. Next is, what is next? Ottawa, the lovely Ottawa. This is Andy Tiska, Andy from Bristol Marine, one of our board members and key supporters. Thank you, Andy. This is Heritage, and this is also Andy. I think Andy's planning on taking his team out for a little bit of sailing next summer in Newport, maybe a little bit of a match race between those two 12 meters. The half-day motor yacht excursion. Ted, he told you he was going to buy this, and he did. So Ted, Rob, and Chris, Ted's going to be joining you. We don't have a winner for the Hall of Boats, do we?
We got a couple bids.
I know we got a couple bids, but the Castine Cottage, we have the winner. No bids on the Castine Cottage. Well, talk to Ted. He can help you out with that. With that, what are we doing last? Closing remarks. So we're going to have a little closing remarks to show you now. Thank you. As a lifelong sailor, the Herreshoff brand has always been the gold standard, if you will. 8 straight America's Cups, many, many different, incredibly successful one-design classes, incredibly successful race boats, innovations from the late 19th century and early 20th century that we still use on sailboats today. It's all pretty amazing history, and it's amazing to be a part of it. I feel like in the 6 years that I've been here, I've really become immersed in the history, and I feel a significant connection to the history, not just of the Herreshoff brand, but of the cradle of civilization in terms of boat building in Rhode Island.
I think it's fair to say that the Herreshoff Marine Museum is an important institution in regard to the whole design, engineering, construction of boats, but also of the sailing that goes on. And the part of it I find most interesting is the racing. And I think that's true of a lot of the young people, that they are attracted to the sport because of the competition as much as they are by anything to do with the boats or glamour or beauty of it.
Greetings, this is Steve Edelston and George Hill from the good ship Weatherly. We're here on board the 1962 Defender of the America's Cup. She's still out racing and still trying to win a bit more silver.
There you go. And we'd like to respectfully raise our cups to all of you for surviving that horrendous storm of this last year, the COVID storm. We'd also like to acknowledge and wish all the best to the crew and the members of the good ship HMM.
We love what you do, and we're grateful for what you do. And we just hope you keep on doing it. So congratulations on 50 years and 50 more, or 150 more.
Well, I first got to know these boats when I was a kid. My family, my brother bought a New York 30 when I was, I think, 13 or 14, and we sailed that boat all over the New England coast. And so I got to know that boat, and then in 1974, my wife and I bought a Herreshoff yawl named Pleasure that we owned for 25 years. She's Captain Nat's last boat, the last boat that he designed and built for his own use. She's a member of the family, really, but we decided that the best place for her when she got to be 75 years old was to get her to the museum, and we donated her to the museum in 1997. So I still go up there and give her a big hug every time I'm at the museum.
The future of boat building in Rhode Island is very bright, I think, especially given the fact that we have an America's Cup team in New Zealand right now vying to win the cup and to bring it back to the U.S. The New York Yacht Club American Magic team has continued the tradition of America's Cup boat building here in Bristol that goes all the way back to 1892, 1893 with the building of Vigilant here at the Herreshoff Manufacturing Company.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight, and thank you for your generous support of one of the nation's most important historic maritime treasures. In the year of the pandemic, we need your support more than ever. Thank you.
So I think it's important that people support the museum, such as the Herreshoff Museum, not just to preserve the beautiful wooden boats and the craftsmanship, but for all of the science and engineering that goes into these things. It's something that's sometimes forgotten about, not only the museum, but of the Herreshoff family. And I think going forward, we need to preserve that knowledge. We need to preserve that and teach young people about science, technology, and engineering to move forward, whether it's wind technology or whether it's solar panels. It all comes down to the same skills. And they were pioneers in manufacturing and engineering and innovation. And it's something that's worth saving and worth investing in.
And a final welcome back, folks. I'm here to wrap up the evening with enormous gratitude. I think by what we're seeing in the chat rooms and what we saw in the auction, and in a moment we'll talk about the lighthouse, that this event was time well spent. At least it was for me. I had a lot of fun tonight. Aaron Frederick will tell you about TED time another time. But sorry, we ran over a little bit. But I think, again, judging by the feedback that we're getting, folks had a terrific evening. We certainly did. It was great to gather the community together and to have a little bit of fun in the long days of winter. So thank you. Appreciate everyone tuning in tonight. The lighthouse, look at that. I'm not sure it deserves a bell again, but it is the final lighthouse check-in for this evening. But the text to donate is will be live all weekend, so feel free. We're gonna get that light lit. I have a sneaking suspicion, and so if you didn't get a chance tonight because you left your wallet or purse at home, feel free to text us over the weekend. However, you can still donate, although the auction's closed. What else? Oh, you know what you can still do? You can gather again in your chat rooms. And I have a chat room, and I'm missing some friends, so maybe I'll find you in the Ted Regan chat room. I'm going to be dropping into the others, and you all are encouraged to drop by and see where there's activity. And none of the chat rooms or the virtual tables are closed, so most of them are accepting gifts. And that'll be open till 9 o'clock. So if you're halfway through a drink and you still feel like socializing, keep it going. I just want to thank everybody from Australia to New Zealand to Switzerland to Camden and Cape Elizabeth, Maine, from Bristol, New York, San Francisco, San Diego, all over the country, all over the world. We gathered here tonight, and I had a blast. So thank you, and we'll see you again. And I know you'll all want to tune in for the Jubilee. So ahead of us next year is the Golden Jubilee. I look forward to meeting many of you in person.